Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with a review of the Alpha drone from Kaiser Baas. Now this is a little bit interesting because this is an Australian brand and I think this may only be available to the Australian market. But Kaiser Baas contacted me and they wanted me to check it out and review it, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Even though it may not be available to all of my audience, it should still be an interesting review at least to watch. This is basically a Syma X5C rebrand. I mean, you'll recognize the basic design. However, they have changed it a little bit. The body is kind of more, curved and smooth looking, and then of course it has this cool black design with the rear red blades, and even these little landing legs on the back are red, which I thought was a nice touch for orientation. The camera is a little bit different. It is a 2 megapixel HD camera, but you'll notice it doesn't have that, extreme downward angle that the X5C has. But the lens does have a bit of an angle to it, so it is pointing down a little bit, but not a lot. But there is a little bit of adjustment you can make and point it down a little bit more too if you, like to do that. So I thought that was a nice touch. We'll look at the battery here, which I also thought was pretty cool. It's a 550 milliamp hour battery, but they've packaged it up in this nice little case here, so it fits in really nice and easily. It a direct fit in there. There's no kind of loose fit or messing around with it. And then it plugs in to a little plug there. And then you put your canopy, or you put your little battery bay hatch back on, and then there is an on-off switch on the back. So big fan of on-off switches, so you can get your battery all squared away, set it down, and turn it on. So that's pretty nice as well. It has a USB charging cable, a screwdriver, a USB card reader, and it does come with a micro SD card. Where is it? Let's see, a little bit hard to get to with the landing gear in the way there, but memory card is just a 2 gigabyte memory card, so not a huge memory card. But there is also a USB port on the back of the camera there, so you could plug right into the camera and connect that to your computer if you wanted, or you just take the card out and put it into your computer. It also has optional prop guards, and pretty much, just the same as the Syma X5C, so I'm not really going to mess around with showing those off, as I've showed those off in the previous reviews. And it does come with a spare set of props. And then this is our transmitter here, which is a pretty nice hobby grade style transmitter. However, all the functions are on the face here, which for me as a pincher, that's probably the worst possible place for them to be. Like, trying to find these while I'm flying is really awkward. So I would have liked to see them have the buttons up here on the top. But you've got your flip button here, which you press and then move your right stick. Or no, actually, you press the button and then it's just a forward flip. With the button, forward flip. But with the rates here, you've got 4 different rates, and then on high rates, 100% rates, it's constant flip mode. So not a fan of that. It makes it so you can't fly in high rates, or you're always accidentally doing flips. So I would have liked to see, an actual dedicated button for flips instead of the 100% flip mode. And then you've got your video and photo buttons here on the side. And then this switch here is for changing between mode 2 and mode 4. So that's where mode 2 is your standard, throttle and rudder on the left. But mode 4 moves the rudder over to the right and then moves your left and right aileron controls over to the left. So you've got forward and backward pitch, and then left and right yaw, like a 3-channel helicopter. So some people like that, especially if they're transitioning from 3-channel to 4-channel. So that's always nice to see the option at least. And then you've got all your trim buttons as usual. The throttle trims here are actually for LED control, and then reset. You press and hold that to reset the accelerometer. So that's pretty cool to have a dedicated button. You don't have to remember any complicated stick movements. It takes about 40 minutes to charge, And with nothing on, you can, since it has these actual landing feet out here, you can remove the camera and the legs and fly it and just use that. So in the lightest form there, you get about 7-minute flight time. With the camera, the landing legs, and the prop guards added, you get about 5.5-minute flight. So depending on what combination accessories you've got, you'll see anywhere from 5.5 to 7-minute flights. Let's see, what else is there to say? Oh, the front LEDs are white and the rear LEDs are green. So I thought that was a little bit weird, since white and green tend to be colors used for the front. I would have expected the red in the back to match the red props and everything. That seems really weird to me, to have the green LEDs with the red props. So I would have much preferred the red LEDs and then either white or green in the front. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else to say. Nope, that looks like that about covers it. So, like I said, since it's pretty much the Syma X5C, it's a little bit faster than that actually. The yaw rate is much faster, so it can fly a little bit more sporty. However, there's a pretty decent dead zone in the middle of the stick. So it makes it feel a little bit lazy to respond at times, because you have to move the stick a bit before it starts reacting. So especially when you're flying really sporty and fast, that can make it feel a little bit unresponsive at times. But otherwise, it is much more of a sporty flyer than the Syma X5C. So I don't think there's any point in like doing a prop guard indoor test or anything. I'm just gonna take it outdoors like this. We'll keep the camera and landing gear on, so that way we can do some onboard footage and show you what that looks like, and then also do some more sporty footage or sporty flying. Oh, and something else I wanted to mention too is the camera is pretty low profile, so I was actually hoping that I could remove these legs and still have clearance for the camera, but it's just a little bit too far down, so you end up resting on the camera if you try to use just these. So I don't know, I would have maybe liked them to make these a little bit longer or something, so then these legs wouldn't even be necessary. That way you could have the camera and just these landing legs and still have clearance to land. I thought that would have been pretty cool. But I'm being a little bit more picky, just because since Kaiser Baas themselves sent this to me, and kind of giving them more feedback. This is their entry into the quadcopter market, so I'm not trying to be hard on them or anything. I'm just giving a lot of feedback for them. I'm actually quite a fan of it, and so I'll go take it for a fun, fast flight, and hopefully the flight will speak for itself. So let's go check that out. Alright, this is the flight review of the Kaiser Baas Alpha drone. We'll go ahead and just give it for a little spin for a bit, and then we'll do some onboard video, see what that looks like. And I've got it on 75% rates because it is constant flip mode at 100% rates. So we got a pretty decent yaw rate, pretty fast. You can do some funnels. This thing's pretty sporty. It looks like the Syma X5, but I'd say this is a little more sporty than that. This thing gets pretty quick. And we've got a flip button that just does a forward flip. And then if I put it on 100% rates, now it's constant manual flip mode, but then makes it hard to actually fly when it flips constantly. Back to 75% so I can actually fly it. It feels a little bit unresponsive at times though, just because there's quite a bit of dead zone on the stick, so it can feel a little, I don't know, it gives you a little bit of a panic for a second when it feels like it's not responding, which I think kind of, I don't know, it makes it I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, which just doesn't quite feel as connected to the controller. Nice and stable and smooth though. Got a little bit of a breeze, and no problem with the breeze. No more funnels. Thing's pretty good with the funnels. It's definitely got a good yaw rate. So now let's start the video. Let's check to make sure I've got a light on the camera. Looks like it. So let's do some sample footage. Maybe I'll go back to 50% so it's not quite as twitchy. Pretty nice and stable up there in the wind. I've got the camera pointed forward as much as it can. It can angle down a little bit more, but I've got it in its most forward position. Definitely nice smooth flight. I just think the dead zones on the transmitter just make it not feel quite as locked into what I'm actually doing on the sticks. Stop the video. Let me go back to 75% rates and just do a little bit more flying. Yeah, this thing's sporty, man. That's full pitch forward there on 75%, so I mean, it's got some angle to it. Alright, I think that was a pretty good demo. Go ahead and bring it in for a landing. Do a little flip landing. Alright, well there we go. That's the Kaiser Baas Alpha drone. Kind of looks like a Syma X5C clone, but it definitely handles much differently. It's a little more sporty. Pretty fun little quad, and I definitely like the look and the colors to it. Really nice. Alright, we'll check the video description for price and purchase links, though I think you can probably only buy this in Australia. Not quite sure on that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.